Yo, ladies and gentlemen, people, welcome back to the Writing the Future series. Sorry, let me have a sip of coffee here. If you can't tell, we should be in the writing format. Let me double check. Yes, we are. And we are going to be trying to get back into writing the Silverrunner. Now, I can't guarantee how long this video is going to be today. I'm shooting for 30 minutes. But we're going to try to get 30 minutes of writing in. The key here is that we need to read through what we already have real quick, which normally you wouldn't have to do if you would do this every day. But because we haven't been writing for the last month, I kind of got side-railed by all the Let's Plays I've been doing. I think that I need to try and understand what I was kind of going for. I also kind of started the series and was writing when I was half asleep. So, like always, we have our trusty design document. So let's see. Terry is, if you guys haven't seen it, go see where we make the design document. Yeah, you can see like my personal notes to myself here. February 12th. Man, it's been a while, hasn't it? It's now March 31st. We need to get on this. Yeah, we're going short novel. Right. Still, this is the main idea. Is we want this entire thing. Science competing with nature, holographic mind, generational divide, gotcha. The man that faces the faces that men must wear in society, personas, yep. The expectations of marriage compared to reality. Heavy encounters, man. Alright, he encounters an alchemist and steals his metal files. Therefore, we can say that he is unemployed / thief. We're writing a story about a thief. What city is he from? Like Pittsburgh, maybe? Something like that. The city will be unspecified. Wife is stressed. Alchemist angry at. Melchior. White gray, harsh comb job to one side. Wears a cavalry-style mustache. Pale gray, blue like silver. Gotcha. Is he from Parallel Earth? Oh, that's right. We were talking about using the idea of Parallel Earths inside it. I did not fill out this, so we're going to change up the date real quick. Like I said, every day, time we do one of these, we want to fill in our devlog, because our devlog gives us like a background of what's going on. Okay. Yeah. And we're going to delete that because Terry absolutely turns to thievery. Now we have a new character that we introduced. Minor character, Spence. Lawyer / offense. Gotcha. So it's just a lawyer and offense. He's not going to be a major part of the story. He'll just show up in the background. I got us a generic hip-hop soundtrack going on. So I'm going to read through what I've already written. And I'm going to kind of brainstorm now how I want this to go. With each step, the puddles flash like silken dreams upon the harsh reality of the concrete. Good. Oh, we got some good imagery. Pain. A shooting pain filled my leg, yet it was unknown to me. It was the pain of every man who had to run to save their life. A feeling so impartial, but overwhelmed by sheer animal instinct that he knew what he had to do. I leapt down the corridor, my feet barely finding purchase as the ground caved down to rivets and potholes, a sign of a city that was slowly rotting at its core. But such musings weren't mine to have. After all, we need to say all I know how to do is run. And so I ran, my afterimage flickering in silver across the raindrops to the eyes of the uncaring public. Good. I gotta sneeze. So, why do I gotta sneeze now? Once again. There we go. Don't know why that always happens to me. After a few blocks, my heart threatened to give out on me, and I felt the need to breathe once more. But when I opened my right palm, a ray of sunlight shined down upon the golden necklace inlaid with a large piece of white jade. To some, a treasure. To me, it was right. Flicking open my cell phone, I dialed Spence. So flicking open, this kind of implies this is like early 2000s. Or he's using a cheap burner flip phone. Okay. He was the only person I knew who could move Jade like this. The only person with as many connections as a corrupt politician or... I don't like this elimination. And let's fix this right here, okay? Don't do this normally. The only person whose nature was like that of water pouring down a sluice. Does that work better? Honestly, it didn't matter. It didn't matter really who he was to me. All that mattered was he can get me my pay. Good. And yes, we're doing some light editing before we start because I need to reacquaint myself. The entire idea of the writing the future area is just me typing, okay? It is just me working on my novel live on camera. So you are kind of getting like the background behind the things. You'll see I have a couple of inaccuracies. Ease with my spelling, I can't help it. When you are typing fast, this tends to happen, you know? Alright, let's see here. What you want, Terry? Just woke up. Killer headache, man. Not hanging around the yacht club that late. Yacht club. Oh... No, I don't like that. Let's see. What should the bar be called? Around... Oh, a name is better, isn't it? Hey, what's a good bartender's name? You know what? I knew a... There we go, Ben's. And it's Ben's? No, Mike's. Yeah, Mike. Because I used to know this bartender named Mike, and he passed away. So, let's see. I could almost see him standing there. Yeah, old Mike, man. He passed away a couple of years ago. Oh, I miss him. And he would always say, he would always tell the young girls to come there, try to flirt with him, and try to get free drinks. Thinks that you fall in love, and you fall in love, and I would fall asleep. A classic guy, man. I could almost see him standing there, his shirt slovenly tossed on as several empty bottles of whiskey stood resolutely like soldiers that had faced an English cavalry charge, never flinching in their duty to the end. Pulled in a cold draught of air through my nose. I like that. No. Oh, we're using UK spelling for a reason here, okay? I don't like how it's trying to correct that. I don't like the way I said that, so let's fix that. Got a white jade, big one, gold chain as well. I said the word sliding out like a man, and who? No, I don't like that illumination. Let's see, a man whom just swallowed a mouthful of mud. Let's show that. Well, you can't fool me. You're loving this, aren't you? That's why you snatched off that woman's neck on 4th and Central, wasn't it? As always found myself mentally scolding myself. A warning that if I kept myself up, I would soon be a bad person. As if I was not already. Good, I like it. Jade, eh? Alright, drop it around my mailbox. I'm gonna move tonight and you get your cut. 70-30. Sound savvy? You got it. Spence replied, his drunken speech suddenly gone, like a voice actor who changed his accent on a dime. I like that. Alright, let's see. You got it. See you tomorrow, I replied. That's just fine and peachy. Now get the hell off the phone and let me enjoy my hangover in peace. This line right here, I know what I was pulling from. One, I was drinking while writing this part, okay? I got coffee today. And I was pulling from a old anime's dub. It was Cyber City Oedo. Oh, the first episode. There's a moment where the main character literally says, "Let me enjoy my goddamn hangover in peace," and I was like, "That is fucking awesome." I love that line. All right, let's see. I looked down on the cheap phone in my hand. Probably good for a few more weeks before I need to ditch it. Some hangover though, right? More than likely, it was just stoned from hitting. Nope. Get rid of the yacht club references. From the long night. Nope. From, let's see, Mike's. This is redundant. From, you've still just stoned from. Let's see, he was still just stoned from going to Mike's bar. Nothing good ever came from Mike's. Only hard times and a bitter taste. Now, this is not a promise, okay? I'm not promising to go into Mike's, because the story is going to be an action story. And with that, I turned and phased into the midst of the illusory city. In this place, I was completely alone. At least with one exception, my wife. Alright, so, we're going to use a little asterisk for a scene break here, okay? This is only 624 words. That's 2 pages. Not really long enough for a chapter 0. I like my chapters to be 6 pages or more, so we need to expand, okay? Okay. I turn coffee, stared up at me. You whiff bitter promise of another morning to come. All right, now we've cut scenes. Now, this is a bit of a quick frame jump thing. You see this more in film than you see this in writing, but you see it in writing occasionally. I like using it because it kind of paints these. It disorients the reader and throws them into a different place. Before we had the character, he just snatched a necklace off a person's neck. He's running through the streets. He's calling up the fence, and then he's trying to get away. And there's a little bit too much of a. I don't like repeating these, so let's change this up. If you repeat something, it begins to form meaning, and if you don't want to say bitter, 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 because that begins reflecting in your psychology. It's the same idea as practicing something. You do it 3 times and you get better at it. So, and a taste of ash in my mouth. There we go. Well, same idea right here. This has the exact same idea, but it gives it more of an image, more of a texture. Okay? With a bitter promise of the morning to come. God damn it, Terry. Would you listen to me? God. Stop. Such bum. And line. What do we call these places? At the temp agency. Dude, I hate temp agencies, okay? They are the closest things to slave labor you'll ever find. So, this is my own personal anger at that entire thing. When I first entered the workforce, it was 2008. Economy had collapsed. I was 17. I had to go stand in a temp agency to get in line. Like, everybody was standing in line for a job, man. Times were hard. Alright, it was so hard. My house burned down and we were like, I gotta get a job, you know? Gotta work. So go and stand in line, tip agency. Like, what is her name again? It's Samantha, right? Did we call her Samantha? Yeah, Samantha Lanius. Like a real man would. A real man would take any work in this economy. Me. My plate with bacon and French toast. It's a small wonder you manage to the rent. Did we say what her job is? Right, we haven't figured out her job. But even then, she was always like this. I knew that she meant well, and hell, she was right. But the idea of kneeling like a dog for some... this is a good imagery because we're going to be repeating this later on when he meets Melchior, which is going to be soon. The action is going to kick out in chapter 1. We want to keep the story moving, okay? So, hell, she was right. But kneeling like a dog for some bullshit pay. Hey, while the middlemen took their cut. Didn't sit right with me. What happened to this light? Where's my light? Maybe the bulb's going out? Okay. Sorry about that. Never did. Listen. I'm trying. Alright? Spence says he has some good work for me coming up. I regretted the words the second I said them. Words the second they slid from my mouth. Her face was one of pure disgust at the mention of Spence's name. You know nothing good comes. being from around him. So, we're starting to get into this domestic drama thing. And the character of Samantha Lanius is that I want her to truly care about the main character, but I want to be harsh love. It's like she's only telling him things because she knows he could be better. She wants him to be a better man, and this is now a promise we're setting up. He has to become a better man throughout the story. Become a better husband, because what he's doing right now is not working, okay? So, yeah, well, me find some part-time work this month, cover me bills. So what? He gives a loser like you yeah, the light's burning out. I'm gonna have to fix that. A charity case, and you are chomping at the bit. No. You are going down the temp agency tonight. There is can't keep things going. I can't keep things going like this. Is by waiting tables. Yeah, we'll make her a waiter. I should have married Andrew. Now there was a man with a career. Yeah, we're making her kind of a bitch right now, but that's kind of the point, you know? The whole idea is that she is pushing him as hard as she can to make him improve, okay? And we're really getting into this dialogue scene now, this back and forth, which is great. This is character development. But it's not action. It's not good enough. Let's make sure we save. And I need another sip of coffee here. Let me think about this. By the way, all of you at home who are watching this, I want you to think about your writing too. Analyze it. Get into it. We're going to be diving deep as we go, okay? Yeah, chewed on my bacon. Then why didn't you marry him then? I said with anger in my voice. Every day, this argument repeated. Like a record spinning with a scratch. Now finish. Now finish your breakfast to get there to be first in line. Let's see. Her face. Smile. Never change, Samantha. You might be a bitch, but at least you're my bitch. Sure. Might delete that line later on. Side table by the door you fixed it mechanically. Can you do it? I know. Peck on the cheek, and I found myself the apartment. The view from 6 stories up, showing me sunrise over the smog, over the hazy city. Same idea, air pollution of the city being dirty, and kind of wraps up the entire context of what we're doing with Samantha, okay? It's these kind of things that we are building up for the Silverrunner, okay? I think today I'm just going to get this dialogue scene up, and you'll notice that each of these videos are going to be like different lengths. The reason for this is that I'm just kind of showing you guys as I organically write, and I have to fit these in wherever I can. Like the gaming stuff, I always try to keep to an hour, but it's hard for me to write sometimes, man. It's hard for me to get in, so even getting like 500 words in here is great. Alright, let me think about Samantha real quick. I shook my head with a smile and walked down on the metal steps. Samantha Lanny was many things, but a bad woman she was not. Maybe a little too coarse, bit rough around the edges, but hey, that's just what a man like me needed sometimes. Fine, I'll go and line. As I thought the city around me like it was not real. Was this the life I had been promised? Stealing to make ends meet? Where was the victory and glory ahead? Eh? Well, you can't your dreams come true. I stepped onto the grimy train platform, and away I went. I looked into the eyes of the people around me. Each one of them was the star of their own soap, and I was no different. Each one of them had that blank look, as if the wonder had slowly disappeared into the bright halogen lights of the city up above. It was a startling thing to wonder if any of them had thoughts of their own. Were they also struggling? Or they also hoping for something better? Or were they already lost? Drowned souls in this sea of humanity. I'm pouring a little bit of myself here because I used to live in Tokyo, and I would look at the people in Tokyo, and these are the kind of things I would think all the time. My life was very dramatic back then, and I was in this weird situation where I was like, man, is anybody real here? Do other people even exist? When I walk out of a frame, do they actually appear? Intellectually, I know that, of course, other people exist and they have their own things, but like emotionally, at that time, I was younger. I was very young, okay? A person would cease to exist the second they would disappear from me. And then they would come back, and it was like a script that a computer had generated of events that they had done. So you're seeing a little bit of my thought process being poured onto the page. Like, I stepped off the train and at 8th and I need to start keeping track of locations, but I'll just go at 8th station. I like keeping everything ambiguous because you can kind of paint the story wherever you want, which is kind of the point. This is just taking place in a big metropolitan area. My phone was ringing in my hand. My phone was ringing in my hand. Okay, and this is where we start to lead into the Milk Lord robbery plot line. So now we know we can bleed right into that next time. I'm going to write a small note for myself here. There, we're going to make it italic and underline it. I'm just going to say note. Lead into Spence calling. And we're going to delete these notes before about a job. There we go. And that will lead him to going to the suburbs to rob the alchemist. And then the story really kicks into gear, okay? At the 8th station. And I think we can actually end the chapter right here. That's a good action hook to go into the next part. So we can do 1//, make the font bigger. I like to use 14 font, or what was the font I used on this one? I always change it up. 18 font, okay. Yeah, I like to do 18 font when I divide these up, because I feel like we're at a good point where we can kind of wrap up 1,300 words. That is right on 5 pages, a little bit over 5 pages. Plenty of a good spot to finish up a prologue. And we're going to paste that note right there. Okay. And now we finished writing the 0 chapter for this guy. Hey, the prologue, quote unquote. Although you may notice every book I write, I use this. I don't really use chapter headings. I always use this 0//1/ style. It is just something I adore. Why are you doing that? Is there any more that's at that giant font? No. Oh, good. I don't like that. Okay, we're going to cut over to the design document, and we're going to talk about our thoughts today, okay? So we know what her job is now. She's a waitress, okay? Gotcha. And then we'll type in Andrew. And let's make Andrew a ex-boyfriend. Which is why Terry gets so sensitive on it, right? Terry notes has jealousy issues. There we go. And this is what the wife is exploiting to kick him into gear, okay? Now let's write up our design log, okay? Boop. So, wrote at 7 p.m. We started fleshing out Terry and Sam's dysfunctional marriage, which I would call that a very dysfunctional marriage, okay? And very different from what I have. But, and we led up to the next episode where we can start getting into the action. And with a phone call from Spence. And we will be discovering as we keep going throughout the story. Yeah, I do have a new idea I want to add. And this new idea, I'm going to put it up on a note here. Let's see, where are my notes? Concept notes. Boop. We're going to add this to the concept notes. You ready? We're going to link this into my previous novel. In my previous novel, I kind of implied the main character came from America where MacArthur became president and it was an alternate history. Now, that had nothing to do with the actual plot of my last book, A Land Called Paradise. But I love the idea of tying these things into this greater alternate Earth concept I have called Exceed Earth. So, link into Exceed Earth. Alternate Earth is the setting of is from that concept. And yeah, that is a much darker world line, I will say. But we are going to lead into that. I think that is the best way I can build up this story and start getting more concepts in. And so, for example, when he goes into the realm of liquid metal, okay, he will emerge. When he submerges, he will emerge not in his own world, but in the parallel Earth. And then he has to go back into fluid space to return to this. And he can kind of start forming this thing where he can be stealing things from the alternate Earth and bringing them to our Earth, creating this weird connection. But there are people from the alternate Earth who are now trying to get rid of him, and which would add a lot more to the conspiracy mythos of the story, because this is really a conspiracy plot, okay? It's a story about a thief, but it's more or less he is going to be pursued, and he's got to constantly avoid, and the stakes keep getting higher and higher, until he finally manages to either break the cycle or the cycle breaks him. I kind of want Terry to do well in the story, to become a better man, a better husband, and let's say that his economic situation starts improving after he's coerced to work for the alchemist. I think that would bring up a lot of interesting things like immoral actions helping yourself, but you're taking on more risk to yourself. It's an interesting concept to explore anyways. But with that, I think I'm going to wrap up today. I hope that the format today is a little bit more casual, a little more straightforward. I am trying to refine this. Alright, let's make sure this doesn't mess with anything, okay? Because it didn't. Good. Save my draft. I know we did some light edits. You will see me do this every episode, more or less. Although next time it'll be a lot faster. There are times I just want to get into the story, and then there are times when I take a month gap that I'm like, I need to bandage up things. I'm like, there are issues with this plot. And I do think there are a few issues with this plot. So, for example, while the basic sci-fi concept is strong, the actual premise leading into it of Terry being a thief, I don't like it. I don't like that part at all. Oh, like, does it make sense? Yes. Because why? How does he interact with the alchemist? But it feels like a plot convenience to get him into that spot. Even so, I think it is probably the strongest way I could build this up and get him moving in the right direction for the story. Does it make sense? So, yeah, man. And that's the entire idea of writing the future. I'm going to be working on my novels on this one, and you're just going to kind of see my moment by moment, hey, how do I do this? How do I make this work? You know? So, that's going to be it for today, guys. I'm going to cut off the recording now. I hope all of you take care. There's going to be no end card on these. No need. If you guys like this, please like and subscribe. I will be working on this off and on. When it comes to writing, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with it. Like, it's very easy for me to write, as you saw. But it's hard to get me to write. Does that make sense? Because I'd rather be playing games or slacking off. Even though I know writing books in the future is probably going to be the thing that will be best for me, I like to do anything else. Does that make any sense? I hope it does. So yeah, man. And by the way, hey guys, any of you who are watching this, give me a comment. Your comments feed me, okay? When I read your comments, I feel motivation. Good, bad, you can, hell, curse me out in the comments. I don't give a damn. But please, give me some feedback, man. And tell me my writing is trash. I don't care. I'm not writing this for you. I'm writing this for myself. Well, if I write for myself so I can improve my craft, and I discuss my craft in order to think about it more critically. Does it make sense? Most of the writers I see on Twitter, not even Twitter, what's it called now? X, don't even do this, okay? Hey, they write their books and they brag, my book is so great. My book is wonderful. Look, my book is good, okay? My writing is good. My thought process is good. But, is it the best? No, there's probably better than me. Hell, I know there's better than me. I read like Isaac Asimov, of Li Shushin, and all their writing, and I'm just blown away by what they're doing. Can I ever get to that point? Yeah, probably. These guys wrote for 20, 30 years, and I'm reading what they read in their 50th book, and I'm like, man, I want to be that good. Well, this is my second book, okay? And my third long-form draft I'm working on. You got to improve from somewhere, right? And I think this is a good opportunity for you guys to see me both develop as an author and to develop yourself as a writer as well, okay? And we kind of form like this diatribe. But you get that. You get what I'm saying. I'm rambling now. All right, guys. As I will see you later. Bye.